Troy Payne.
Hi there.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to Tasty Humans, powered by Watson and here in the lovely Media One Hotel.
It's a nice little room, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? Like, I'm very blessed to be allowed to use this room. So thank you very much to Motivate, who allow me to do this.
They motivate.
Brilliant. So thank you for doing it. I always like talking to chefs. Such colourful characters. I think it's collectively the most amount of tattoos we've had yet, which I always like to see anyway. So you started in kitchens at 15, which is
around that 14, 15.
Yeah. So what was the trigger? What got you into it?
The trigger. The trigger was actually just I think my whole upbringing with my mum and dad, and we were taught that you helped and you worked and you supported, and I think that was just inbuilt into us. At 12 and 13, we set up a group of guys that would go around to people's houses with lawnmowers and shovels and rakes and just knock on the neighborhood doors and say, okay, we're here. What can we do? Can we help clean your house,
Yeah.
And just do odd jobs in people's houses. And I think that just continued. I mean, that became quite a lucrative business.
I was going to say, so even younger.
Yeah. And that was, and so it's always been, and all the friends that I grew up with at school, I think there was 26 of us that knew each other from kindergarten up until the end of high school.
Okay.
And we all it was just a group, but we all worked out that I think it wasn't until we were older that we were all from like split or single parent families.
Okay.
It was like, I think that was the bond. I don't know what it was, but we also, the tightness of that group.
You still keep in touch with them now, or?
Yeah, about half of them.
That's awesome, actually. It's kind of rare, like when you get to, I'm assuming, our age, mid-40s.
It's 25, aren't I?
How old are you, by the way?
What is it? I'm 47.
Okay. Yeah, we're there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's good, 47, I think it's the new 25.
That's what I'm saying to myself. Yeah. I'm 48 next weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, 25, stay young.
Well, it's funny. I think, I'm 47, but I think I'm the healthiest I've been since I was 25.
What makes you say that? How unhealthy were you at 25?
No, it's that whole, look, our industries, our age group, we grew up in an industry when hospitality was a lot more brutal.
Oh, for sure.
And a lot more solitary, a lot more pressurized.
Yeah.
It was, there wasn't support networks, and there wasn't that thing, or it wasn't talked about. Back then, I mean.
Yeah, I'll say it. Like, I think a good way to quantify is I don't think anyone cared about how you were feeling. They just wanted you to come to work and graft, and hospitality was, 16-hour shifts, double shifts. I mean, I was in London when I started out in this, and it was crazy. But again, really enjoyed it, and
yeah, I think that's the buzz that started me.
Yeah.
There's that work ethic. And then that work ethic turns into, all right, I'm in work. I've got, I used to finish, my first kitchen was I'd finish the day at school and jump on a mountain, BMX, and I'd ride 2 suburbs away and turned up to a pub, and I'd ride there and wash dishes. Yeah. And it's like, they're like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, got to do something.
Got to do this. And you get in there and you wash dishes and have pizza trays burnt across the back of your neck, and but you were just like, okay, look,
yeah, this is what it is.
This is what we do. Is this what you do? And and you just kept driving, and I think there was a different drive back then. I mean, not that saying that people now don't have that drive, but it was an unspoken drive. It was like a personal thing. It was like, how hard can I go?
Do you know, you're 100%. I know so many people. I used to work in a place called Roadhouse in 2004, and the entire attitude of the entire venue was how big, harder, faster, stronger. It was this whole mentality, because it was so busy, and the bartenders were of a very, very high caliber, and I was a manager there, and it was exactly that attitude.
Yeah.
Which was, you 24-hour shift, you know, straight into another shift, home, sleep, come back. Yeah, this is what we do. If you can't do that, then get out type attitude. But you wanted to do it.
Yeah, it was that thing. It was and there was a sense of pride and achievement, personal pride and achievement. You know, you'd finish a shift in a kitchen, and you'd already been there for 15, 16 hours, and you'd turn around and you'd finish work, and one of the guys there, he'd go, all right, cool, let's go rollerblading quickly. And you'd go rollerblading, and then you'd sleep, and then you'd know you'd be up. You knew you'd be up in 2 hours' time, and you'd be back and doing it again. But it was just something. So I think so healthy nowadays is, you know, there's a lot more. I mean, yeah, I pushed hard as a kid, as a youngster. You pushed hard. You wanted to be better. You wanted to be this. You wanted to learn. You know, there's that mentality of sponge, you know, that I'd been told about, and you know, things like my dad telling me that, you know, your life's like the white of a fingernail, you know, and so you've got to enjoy it. And so it's like, you know, that white of your nail, it grows and you cut it off. That's how quick your life is. God, he did so many of those things.
It's a very interesting analogy. I've never heard that before, but it makes sense.
Yeah, you know, it does. It's, you know, that's how short life is. And so, what are you going to do with it? You know, there's things like so many.
So when you came out of school, like, did you come out of school with essentially, you know, forgive the term, nothing, and then went straight into kitchens, or you were like, you came out, you know, in the direction of being a chef? Did you go to culinary school or anything like this, or?
So, all right, so I can abbreviate that one for you. So, yes, I did. I worked on weekends, and 3 nights a week I worked in a pub as at the age of 14, riding a bike. After that, went on to, you know, you had work experience for school, where they give you, you know, 2 weeks to go and do things. That became addictive. So basically any chance that I got, I'd go into a place and say, oh, I'm here for work experience. And the school didn't know I was doing that.
Okay, awesome.
But I saw it as a way into venues, so that I would get time. And, you know, I'd be, you know, you'd go in and I'd say, listen, the average, they're meant to pay me, you know, guys are meant to pay me $5, you know, $1 for Australian dollars. You're meant to pay me $5 a day, back then. I said, but if I'm good and I'm worth it,
a day?
Yeah, I said, how about if I'm good and I can live up to the expectations, how about we make it $5 an hour? And I think there was an air of, you know, subtle cockiness, but it's not that cockiness where it's not where I thought I was amazing. It's just where I thought, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, so you do anything to get in.
To get in.
Yeah.
And Dad again said a squeaky door gets oiled.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you just keep going in. And so there was that thing where I was doing work experience in kitchens, and I'd pick the best kitchens to go into. And then once you start going into the best kitchens, well, you don't go backwards from that.
So which was the first one that sort of gave you that real chance?
Mietta's.
Okay.
Mietta's in Melbourne. It was an institution. My stepfather was working there.
Okay.
Or he had worked there. Sorry, he had worked there previously. And so then when I went there, he's like, why don't you try Mietta's? So I was like, okay, let's try. And I did the same, you know.
And what sort of restaurant was it? What was the cuisine?
It was high-end French European food. It was bloody amazing. It was also an introduction to the first time that I grew up with my dad and my nan and my mum and everyone not cooking real good food. You know, boiled vegetables in those boilers that has 6 cages and all the vegetables going together and under pressure cooker type thing. So I remember standing there in Mietta's kitchen with the chef at the time, Romain Baptiste, and I'd been there from 8 o'clock in the morning and time didn't matter. I hadn't thought about it and got to like a certain point of the day, and the next time another shift came in and I hadn't explained it. They hadn't explained it. No one knew. And this guy just comes up and goes, "Who are you?" I went, "I'm here for work experience." And he's like, "Oh, work experience?" He goes, "It's night. It's nighttime." And I was like, "Oh, is it?"
Brilliant.
I said, "Oh, I'm still doing the tomatoes, blanching tomatoes for concassé." And he said, "Look, can you?" She goes, "Have you eaten?" I went, "No." And he's like, "Okay." So he sat me down. He goes, "Please just sit here," and sat there and put a plate of food in front of me. I didn't even look at it, I don't think. And later on, worked out what it was. It was a plate of chicken breast and some steamed broccoli. But when I ate the broccoli, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever eaten in my life.
Mm.
And I don't think it was because of starvation or anything.
Yeah.
By the way, personal choice. There was a personal choice of doing that thing. There wasn't slavery or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that just flipped my mind into it. It had extended the thought process of me wanting to do this and be in that environment. It had solidified it. And so then it just kept going. And then I was still at school.
Mm-hmm.
I was still doing high school. And I, through my, everything with the family, I sort of went, right, no, it's, I want to do this, but then I don't want to do school. Mum said, no, stick at school.
What age were you supposed to leave school at in Australia? Just
high school. I don't know. There was no high school finishes at I think you're 20, 21.
Really?
Is it 18, 19? No, 19.
No, the reason I ask is in the UK,
that's all. Me back
15, 16, you're done. You go on to college and sort of for higher education, but high school, you're out the door at 16.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering how long you were at school and work.
Yeah, did that for quite a bit, but then I sort of switched out, and my mum and dad agreed to. They sent me to a tech school to finish years 11 and 12, and that was an art school. So I studied architecture, furniture design, and production. Because if I didn't cook, I did art stuff, and I was one of those kids that pulled everything apart at home. Sorry, mum and dad.
Yeah.
And put it back together.
So the creative and inquisitive brain.
Yeah, mum used to call me the magpie.
Okay.
All the shiny things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wasn't content with looking at it. I had to touch it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the nicknames I remembered as a kid. But and so then that just developed, and I tried doing culinary school. I got into a big argument with them there when they asked me to make canapes, and they made us do a piece of brown bread with a piece of ball of cantaloupe, honey melon or whatever it was, and then put tomato paste on top of it. And it's like, this is wrong.
In what way did that clash? Was that your experience in the real world versus what they were saying? Yeah,
there's a clash between working in restaurants, because at that time I was actually working in restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into one of the better restaurants at the time. I walked into Andrew Blake's restaurant at Southbank, and I walked in with a set of knives, and I had a set of knives from the culinary school that I was sort of doing part-time. And I had a jacket, and I walked in. I just started going to restaurants that I wanted to work at, that I'd read about, or knew the chef, read about the chefs. And so I walked into Blake's and went, "Hi there, I'm here to meet the chef." And they're like, "Okay, so, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to work here." And they're like, "Right, well, we can come back." And I went, "No, I've got my knives now, I'm ready." And he went, "Well, you're keen, aren't you? You're smart ass."
Well, No, you're all right with that one. You're all right with that one. It's the big ones that the big ones we try to steer away from.
Yeah. And so then he said, "Yeah, all right, come on then. Change, get in." And that was it. That was the flip.
I wanted to ask,
another flip.
Does that level of tenacity still exist? So throughout your career, have you ever had a Troy Payne walk in and go, "I've come here to work," and put you in the position, well, hang on a minute, there's an incredibly keen individual here, which you don't see that often. And I'm always a firm believer in, if somebody wants to do something, then 50% of the battle's already won with your teams.
Yeah, I find that, I get them. I still have one with me. I have a couple with me now. And it's not done exactly the way that I did it, but very similar. You know, people have come in and started as pot wash.
Mhm.
You know, fresh in Dubai, first job in Dubai was washing dishes in a restaurant we're in, and would wash dishes like this, staring at the chefs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if a
but
rite of passage.
not washing dishes like this though, slow, like fast.
Yeah.
Washing dishes to finish washing dishes so that they could watch better
Yeah.
and learn more faster. She's my sous chef today.
So I love that. I really do, because it's I don't know, I think hospitality it's from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know, it's so many of the good people that I know, you know, amazing mixologists, bartenders started as barbacks. You know, it was almost a rite of passage that you couldn't get onto the bar unless you'd been a barback. You couldn't make it into being a waiter until you've been a busboy. And it's because you actually learn all of the intricacies of what's actually going on during busy shifts, you know.
Yeah, it's. I think it's. I think that style of learning and progression is lost. Personally, you know, look, I'm not saying that it's 100% lost. I know that there's people still out there that still push and still want to do it. But it's that thing nowadays. I say, you know, people go, oh, here's my CV. I want to work with you. I go, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I go, but let's just have a conversation. You know, people sometimes freak out when I have interviews with them, when they have interviews with me, because it's like, you know, here's my CV, and I just push CV to the side.
Yeah, yeah.
And just talk.
Well, a CV essentially is someone writing down how brilliant they are, and then sitting there trying to second guess what you're going to ask. You know, and I'm slightly like-minded, where I just kind of go, okay, like, let's assume that a lot of this is exaggerated. Who are you? You know, what have you done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
And nowadays, you know, there's CV that people don't even write them anymore. Technically, you know, they could get on Google and go template.
Yeah.
And now they go, you know, chat. Oh, you know, which is fun, by the way.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's
which
fun.
because you can spot it a mile away.
Yeah.
You know. I recently had, I'm not going to mention his name, but I recently had one of my guys do his appraisal using ChatGPT. And I just said,
I'm not going to lie.
and I just said to
I just did it as well.
Can you write this, please, yourself? You know, because when I talk to you on a daily basis, you
That's
don't
not
talk
you.
like this.
Yeah.
So it's very funny.
Yeah.
It's a good moment.
So,
But
you know, because you can teach, this is my thing. Everybody cooks.
Mhm.
Right, this is from a chef's from my point of view, right? We all cook. You cook, everyone cooks. My grandma cooks, your grandma cooks, our sisters cook, our brothers cook, our nans cook, everyone's cook. Where do we think it came from? It didn't come from us now. It came from way back. And through survival or need or passion, all these things. And so you can learn off anyone, and anyone can learn to do it if you want to. Right? This is the thing. You can learn to do anything you want if you want to. So that's where I utilize that in hiring people. So I just want to see a personality. And it's not a case of me saying, I want to see a personality like shine bright like a diamond. You know, no, I just want to see you now. Because then I want to know where I can put you now, if that fits into my team for this project. Yeah. I can go, okay, maybe you're not fit for me. You won't fit into this kitchen, because I already have an extrovert. I already have an introvert. I already have someone that does this. I already have someone that tells jokes. I've already got someone that's very emotional. Yeah. I've already got these parts of, you know, so if I triple up on extroverts or introverts or jokers or clowns or serious type or then it's going to throw my balance off. Because you've also got to adapt them around your personality of guidance and leadership. But no, I've got a friend that you might be suited to, you know. So there's things. It's like,
it's getting the right team of personality, because a kitchen is hectic.
we spend hours together.
But it's real. I've always said this to every chef that I've had on the podcast, which is, from my front of house perspective, it is just an insanely, I can't swear, but crazy environment when I've told this story numerous times, so I'll tell it very quickly, but I trained in a kitchen once through an intense senior management course where you had to do 2 weeks in each department in order to get your head around it. And I'd been working in restaurants 5 or 6 years. It's the first time I'd ever gone in a kitchen, and I couldn't do it. It was a mitigated disaster. And the finished training bit was to do the inside line on a Saturday shift. It was super. I was all over the place. They said to me, "Don't ever do it. The fact that you've tried will put you through. But if we were assessing you for being a chef, don't." And being on the inside of it, I was like, this is nuts. It's not like being on a bar, not like being on the floor. There is so much organization that goes into it, timing, it's so again.
I always find that, I always find that side of things, like from outsider point of view, looking at what we do, I always find that interesting hearing, because for me and, for a lot of us that do it, it all just makes sense to us.
Well, this is the thing. The thing is, the flip side is you guys don't know what it's like out on the floor. So this is where
Oh yeah, but no, I've done 4.
Okay.
I've enjoyed 4. Worked bars. My sister's a bar owner back in the day.
Okay.
My sister's also a chef. But my sister went through working in bars. I worked in venues where we'd work in the kitchen, and at the end of the shift, I'd go, okay, cool. I'll jump in the bar. Can I work in the bar until close? I loved it. I found bars very similar. But I knew those barmen. And so you knew what it's different, in kitchens, you've put together this team, so you know what people are thinking, how they're thinking, their way of thinking about it. And so then you can connect with them. And so then you'd roll into a bar where you're working with the same people, or you work on the floor and you know how they move. I think this is it's a part of hospitality overall is reading people, isn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So reading customers. Yeah. But customers, this is the thing for me for hospitality, is that it shouldn't be forgotten in where your department is, or where you're specialized in. Yeah. You've got to be able to see when that waiter comes up and looks at you at the pass, whether they're going to have a problem, whether there's something you need them to help you fix, whether they're going to help you fix something. Yeah, it's not just a one-way street.
No. This is what I was saying. It's about the understanding of what it's like to look customers in the eye when the customer's not happy. Whether or not we agree with why the customer's not happy is irrelevant to that particular moment when they're genuinely not happy, and you've got to try to appease the situation. And the servers are the ones that are getting it. I was going to say it's that as a bartender. As long as you've got a fully stocked station, you make the product from start to finish and hand it to the guest. In the kitchen, certain things are coming from different areas when it's plated together. And the poor old servers aren't making any of it, but they're being held accountable there and then for why it's not there or it's not good.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's one of those things. I'm quite honest and open with our server, with the front of house. And I'm like, if you need me, anytime you have a problem, like if you have a problem customer or there's an issue or something, get me, I'll come. But you have to tell me what is happening. I need background, then I can go. If it's something like, and if there's a big thing, like I have no problem fessing up. Like if I've messed up in the kitchen, and I say that's a team. I don't put blame on any particular person. This is one of the things I'm trying to teach the guys now, is that it's not you or you or you. It's us. If something goes wrong, it's us. And so therefore, there's times where I'll say, okay, I'll say to another team member, okay, it's your turn. It's your turn to go out to the front and talk to the customer.
Oh, she actually sends.
Yeah.
But
not for bad stuff.
I've never seen that before.
Not for bad. Not just not bad. It's not just about bad. It's about good as well. Or I'll take them. I'll go, oh, this customer wants to see you, chef. I go, okay, who's coming? Come with me. Yeah, and introduce them to them at the table as well. And if I'm not here, this is who's here. Jane will look after you. This is so that they get used to it. Chefs nowadays, like I said before, you can teach anyone to cook, but it's the rest of it that that chefs should focus on teaching. Make sure that they know the cost of goods. Make sure that they know what a customer is. Make sure they know how to communicate with front of house, with owners, with everything. They need to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they need to learn. They need to know. They need to know that while they're standing there cooking, like myself, they need to go, I've got a team of 6 kitchen porters working really hard right behind me, so that when you scream out for a ramekin, you've got to give them a bit, because they've got everything else they're washing. You know, you've got to know that the waiters are out there trying to clear tables as fast as possible and take orders at the same time and deal with customers' attitudes or personalities or praise or anything.
Yeah.
And at the same time, those runners, they're also running drinks for the bar, and the bar might be getting slammed. And so there's all these parts, but you need them to think about everything, the big picture.
Yes. The fully understanding of what's actually going on.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't, this conversation is going to jump backwards and forwards around. Sorry.
Of course.
It's just sporadic,
That's what it's all about.
There'll be trains.
That's what it's
okay.
all
We'll
about,
jump on a train and go off.
That's what it's all about. So,
there's, now I've lost that train of thought.
teaching the chefs to understand the big picture of everything, the different departments.
Oh yeah. So I had a one restaurant, I had a young guy that would come in with his family and they sit and eat. And he was like 14. And there's one of those times where you saw that eagerness in his eyes, and he's like, oh, can I come and hang out in the kitchen? And it's like, okay, you want to come, hang out. And so we sat down with I said, I'll come and meet your family first. And we sat there and met the family and talked to them. And then I said, look, more than happy for this as long as you're okay with it. And so, and so he stood there and did some shifts with us and things like that. Really nice kid, listened, everything, was keen. And then they were like, oh, so you do think, what can you give some suggestions? And I said, yeah, we'll sit down. And you sit down with the parents and they're like, so what do you suggest? And I said, I suggest he stays at school. And they're like, but and I went, no. I said, don't, I'm saying keep cooking. Like, you want to cook. I went, but stay at school. Go and but change what you want to do in school now. Decide, right? Go and do marketing. Study accounting. Computer, Excel, all these things, right? Because one day you're going to own a business. I gather that's where you want to go. I said, it's a thing, but it's like, I'm going to cook and I want to have my own restaurant. I said, so you've got to set yourself up for that kind of thing. So study accounting, and you can say, oh, but I'm going to have my own accountant one day. Yeah, but if you don't know what he's doing, how do you know that he's doing it right?
So I have a question.
Public speaking is another thing.
Yeah, because
if you're a chef that can't go and talk, and talk well and express what you do, if you can't, here's the thing. There's hundreds of cooks out there that cook incredible, but if you can't be a cook that can communicate that to somebody else, then
this was what I was going to ask, which is about your leadership style in the kitchen. Like when you were a head chef, like we all see from the outside that the shouty, screamy type characters that
I did that.
So popular over the years. Which, to be fair, when I did go on the inside of it, I was like, okay, now I actually get it, because you can't sort of slack off for a second. But yeah, I was going to say, what was your type of sort of way of communicating to the team? Were you?
I've been through many stages. I'll be honest with that. Yeah. When I was younger, I was literally hired as a bull terrier. Mm-hmm. Some chefs saw me as like I was the guy that got shit done, and got it done with speed, efficiency, and got other people to do it with me. And there's some times I'm not very proud of course. I'm sure that any chef that was an angry chef, that's how I call myself now. Back then, was an angry chef. It was pointless. But it takes time and maturity to understand.
Was it? I have a question.
I thought I was getting stuff done properly.
Were you? That's what I was going to ask. Which was, were you feeding off of emotion, or did you think this is how these this is how I must behave in this role?
It was a blend of both.
Mm-hmm.
I got brought up in some screamy kitchens.
Yeah.
And so when I got brought up in some pretty screamy kitchens, pretty intense kitchens. And then I met another chef that
feel like when it was
polar opposite.
What did you feel like when it was happening? Like, did you accept this was reality, or did you feel bullied, or like and I'll tell you why, only because I know me, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, is that sometimes I get too caught up on how I've been spoken to. Definitely in my past, which I think has worked against me, where sometimes you just got to take it instead of being a bit of an egotistical idiot and going, who do you think you're talking to? You know, sort of thing. But in kitchens...
No, I took it.
Like,
I thought it was, I thought that's how I was meant to be spoken to. I was an ant. Back when I started, I was an ant. And it was like, right, and I'm a soldier ant. And I'm here, right, yeah, go. Okay, I'm going. Yeah, I think that was the thing. It was like, I think it was because from the people screaming at me and pushing me, not always screaming, just pushing, you know. But the weird thing is a lot of those guys that said push and pushed you when you're a kid or younger, sorry, not a kid, younger. You thought it made you better. So you're like, yeah, I can do this. I can do it faster. I can do it. I can slice quicker. You know, we used to get picked on for, what are you doing with that knife? Don't use that for that. You know, that knife never gets used for that. You're killing this. You're killing it. You're killing it. Stop killing my vegetables. Like literally, but screaming, you know. So you're just like, right. So you just stand there and freeze and you're like, right, okay, no, cool, right. Get me another knife, you know, in your brain. You're going, another knife, right. Oh, this one. And then you look across and you're not like looking for any kind of, you know, clap or anything. You're not looking for a big pat on the back and a you participated ribbon. You're looking, you know, but you just like, the chef just looks at you and nods and goes, right. And you're like, okay, cool, I got the right knife. But then at the end of the service, he'll explain to you at the end of it, you know, he's like, so this knife does this. This is fat knife. So if you're cutting a mushroom, it's going to bruise it and you're taking out that moisture and that pushing those flavors out of it. Whereas I don't want that. I want it, we need to slice it without it being affected at all. So the thinnest blade possible in slicing a mushroom. Is it, you know?
So in the heat of the moment, the barrage comes in, but to sit down afterwards and actually explain their actions is the key to it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I will say I've said to the team, during service, we go, but you can't take, like, I'm not screaming or anything, but it's like, when I ask a question, I just need an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I say it to the front of house now, when you come to the pasta, ask me for something. You need to know what you want, how you want it done, and why. Like, just, I need this. Oh, it's not a case of going, oh, chef, I've got this table out there and they're wondering if they could have this other sauce for that. No, it doesn't work, does it? There's 5 minutes of or 3 minutes. That means that you're not 3 minutes focused on a kitchen and cooking, which then turns into 6 minutes of a table not being served. 6 minutes of a table not being served, if it's already been 10 minutes, is 16 minutes, which is too long.
Yeah.
For starters, things like this. Okay? Of course, you know, I mean, look, the whole menu, there's so much to it. You know, the whole menu is time engineered. It's menu engineering isn't just about, oh, this food looks pretty.
No, exactly. It's
a case of, can I get 75 dishes on a menu out in time?
See,
so,
it's the one question that I've always, when I was younger, was baffled, never seems to get asked in food tastings by sort of us lot, which is, okay, the food tasting, essentially, I always think, you know, you've got all the time in the world because this is a tasting, right? So there's no rush. And you're going to put down in front probably the very best version of it we're ever going to see, you know. And everyone eats it and has all their, you know, 2 cents about the story and this and that. And I would always sit there with what I'd always refer to as the customer's palate, because I'm terrible in food tastings. Like, I can sort of tell people, I think that tastes good or bad, but I can't really tell you how to fix it. So I've always been rather quiet in tastings. But really my question is, okay, it's Saturday night, it's 8 p.m., 2 sections have been double, triple sat. The whole thing's going to hell. You know, I wish I could use other words, as you know, but the whole thing's going to hell. Can you actually get, could you actually get 6 of these out, 10 of these out, 15 of these out to this standard? And it's funny when you see attitudes change, and it's like, well, maybe we should look at something different,
Yeah.
And I don't think people take as much, I don't know, sort of the direction on that as they should do sometimes.
Yeah. So like, there's those, all those bits, all those components. So I just want, nowadays I'm still direct, but at the end of it, I say, we just need
an answer.
I just need the answer. I don't need the story at the time. If we ask for the story, then okay. Afterwards, you can go, oh yeah, and it's like, Troy, table 6, sauce now, please. Okay, I have no issue. See, that's the thing. It's like, cool, bang, done.
So, to jump on a new train, you've owned 2 of your own places. Is that correct over the years, or is there wrong in that?
I know. First one, I did own a restaurant when I was 24.
Wow. So the question I always like to ask people is, what then made you go from I'm running a kitchen to now I want my own place? Because it's a massive jump. And how was that transition? And, what would you say to other chefs who want their own places?
Do it, but don't.
That's it. No expansion. Let's talk about Pro Chef. Do it, but don't.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know what.
Oh dear. Perfect. Elaborate, please.
No, it's you're young and you think you can do it and you think you want to do it and you get a bee in your bonnet. And in Australia, it's that thing I can do it. I can do it. We're taught to go. You can do it. I did have an advantage in a sense, is that I grew up with, I made sure that I worked in kitchens with older people, and I'm not being derogatory to those guys at all, but I worked in one kitchen at one stage. I had 120 years of experience around me. That's incredible. But I didn't think it was funny at the time. I loved it. And I was like, I need to stand in this kitchen for as long as possible and learn off these people, because they have so much more than me. And I don't know, I think opening a restaurant myself just fell in place or something. There was just something that happened. I just wanted to do it.
What was the toughest bit?
The toughest bit, building it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tiling your own floors, tiling your own walls. Did it with family,
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but there was, choosing tables, sanding floors, putting together your kitchen. Part of that was amazing. The stoves that I used came out of a kitchen that I'd grown up in, in the actual hospitality, in a restaurant kitchen. They renovated the kitchen. So then the stove that we'd cooked on for years was being thrown out. So I was like, oh,
I'll have that.
Oh, this is perfect timing to open my own restaurant. And I get this piece, joking around on that side of things, it was a bit of a joke, because another chef had always told me, every restaurant you work in, when you leave, take one utensil.
Okay.
Right? By the time the joke of this was, by the time that you'll know you're ready to open your own restaurant when you have enough equipment to fill the kitchen, to start, not fill it, to start your own restaurant. Right? So in other words, you take one spoon, you take one set of,
So that's where it's all going.
That's where it's all going. It's going to young kids in Australia wanting to build their own restaurant.
I was going to say, any people running operations with high turnover, that's not solid advice.
One of the guys joked with me, he goes, well, you got the oven. So you must be able to open your own restaurant. But I think there was just something in me. It was just, I've always wanted to push myself a bit. I mean, it's,
And you did another one, didn't you? So you had one?
Yeah, we did one as a partnership in Coburg. Magical place. Group of guys approached, and we all sort of just, they all put it in, and then they needed a chef, so they pulled me in and gave me part ownership in it. And that was incredible. They turned a rundown pub into, and in a suburb that was, not known for anything like that. And there wasn't the places doing, out that way with pubs with food. It was just just
pubs with I remember in the UK there was pubs that turned into gastro pubs where the food
I just don't like using that word, but yeah.
No, why not?
I don't know. I think it pigeonholes.
Right.
This is one of my things. I'm really against pigeonhole.
Okay.
Yeah. It's that thing. It's like I don't like being called chef.
What do you like being called?
You can call me Troy.
Okay.
Or if they say chef, then you put Chef Troy. Because technically we're all equal. Yeah, we're all humans, and so I know your name, you know my name. Why do we have to say sir or say madam or sir? Chef, or you don't walk into a office tower and go, "Hello, CEO."
Yeah. I hate being called sir. I tell all the stuff, because in Dubai, in hotels, it's a bit of maybe like a term of endearment and stuff like that, and respect. And I say straight away, please, I'm not a school teacher. Please don't call me sir.
My staff laugh at me now. They come in and I go, "Hey there, Pikachu," or "Hi there," "G'day, Captain Rocker." Like I literally come up with any name apart from their name. I think it's just so that trying to make sure that they
feel special,
do subliminal training, so that then they all make sure not to call me chef.
Awesome. So what's the? Sorry, I had a little stretch there. Sorry. What's the best place you've ever worked in? Like, I always like this. Like I said, I'm going to say people our age and been doing it a long time, and you're sort of different parts of the world. For you, if you look back at one thing, or maybe you're even doing it now, like what is the one place where you go, yeah, that was an awesome period?
I wouldn't call it periods. I'd call it people. Sorry, big pun. I'd call it people. I was very fortunate when I was growing up that I latched on or just followed them. There's two chefs that I'll never forget. They're more so for their teaching abilities, or what I could learn from them. Two of them, one that taught me the intricacies of spices and flavors and profiles and this and what you can get from one ingredient. Coriander seeds. It's not just a coriander seed. A seed is the essence of everything of something that grows from, and so from that seed you can get so much. Look, let's do it. Let's have fun, a little fun with it. Coriander. We've got on that coriander already, I think, is it? So coriander seed. You've got a fresh coriander seed, that's one flavor. You've got dried coriander seed, another flavor. You've got coriander seed if you roast it, another flavor. You've got coriander seed if you don't roast it and grind it, it's another flavor. Right? So that's what we're up to 5 flavors already from the seed.
Yeah.
Then we've got the stem. Once it grows, you've got the stem, you've got the roots, you've got the leaves, you got the flower again. Like, how many flavors do you want from one product? So I had a chef that taught me all about those things. If we roast a spice and then grind the spice, that's going to change the flavor again. All these different things, depending on what happens, what stage the oil's at, the freshness, this. Stems are amazing. Roots are incredible. People will sit there and pick coriander leaves. It's like, yeah.
And do you think that then, because that's I've got to be honest, that's fascinating. The way you talk about it, and I can see it on you. You like really into that. Like that was a bit of a moment that I think changed the way that you maybe approach what you were doing. And do you think that is what sets the difference between certain standards in restaurants, the good from, I wouldn't say the bad, but just the highs and I don't know how to say without sounding maybe derogatory, but there's the good from the bad, which is the chefs and the people actually understand the imagination what you can get from one thing if you actually thought about it and tried it and experimented on it?
I think it's just nowadays, I think the funny thing is that I learned all these things early on, but I didn't fully understand them all early on. It's not until you get some time, or you think about things a bit more again. Also, too, there's times where you, as a chef, you need to, or just as a human, you need to make sure that you step back. You step back and look and watch and listen. Learn to remind yourself to listen. And it's not just about listening to people around you, it's about listening to everything. Listening to what you... For me, it's about stepping back and listening to produce.
Yeah.
And listening to what you're doing. Listening to those around you, listening to memories of what you did. I have no regrets in my life, but my only regret would be if I haven't listened to the past.
Okay.
You've got to listen to that's what there's that thing. I've made many mistakes, but I don't see them as mistakes. I see them as learning. My dad's latest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He called me up and goes, "I got one for you. I've got one for you." Yeah. He's gone, "How do you spell fail?" Sorry, I'll tell a little backstory. So for a large portion of my life, Dad said, "How do you spell can't?" Yeah, as in you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And back then, it's like, what, CANT? He's like, "No." And he's like, I went, "How, what?" He's like, TRY, try. Right. And so he actually did his apprenticeship at the age of 60. Right.
Okay.
Surprised us all. Yeah. And did his cooking apprenticeship, passed it. Right. And I said to him, I said, "How do you spell can't?" And he said, TRY. Right. And he goes, "I'd forgotten about that one." I said, "How'd you forget that one?" He goes, "Because I got a new one."
Okay.
So that's where the new one comes.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is fail? What is it to fail? And I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun one, Dad. What do we got? What do you got for me? He goes, "First action in learning." And he goes, "It even matches the letters." And I went, "Yeah." But it's, and he sit there and go, "I think you must have subliminally taught me that as well when I was young without knowing it." Because I've never seen failure as failure or a mistake as a mistake. So if you listen to those mistakes and you listen to those so-called failures, then you're only going to be better. And when you do it now. So when you sit, I think it's now you sit back and you go, "Oh," and then you just look at things for a bit, and then you look at things differently again. So then you can look at produce again. You look at your job again. You can look at your position of what you do and what you get to do. What we get to do. It's so hard not to swear. What we get to do is freaking incredible. Yeah, I don't see myself as going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't. It's my hobby. It's my love. It's everything. Yeah, it's my everyday. I go home and cook with the family. My little girls cook with me. 1 and 3. First thing their dad comes up, and they want to stand there and cook at the bench. My wife, that's the most solid rock I've ever had in my life. She says, "Cooking with the girls, let's do this. Shall we go to the market?" "Yeah, you're doing good, But not just praise. You sure you want to do that? She does it all for me. And so there's one battle I have in my head, which is another thing my dad said.
Yeah.
It was if you don't, when you stop enjoying it, stop doing it. Right? And for a long time, I thought you were meant to stop. Yeah. For some reason, I had it in my head that you're meant to stop. So like when I was an angry chef or a young guy, and you're like, "No, I've got to stop doing this." So I stepped out of kitchens. I went and became a brickies labourer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, "No, I don't enjoy that." So I went helped build houses. And then I was like, "No, but I miss that. I need to be back there." So you went back and cooking. And then I was like, hadn't quite worked it out. So I went and did landscaping for 6 months. And I was like, no, you know. So I always had this thing. It's like, am I meant to, am I a bad person if I stop enjoying what I do?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, I don't have to stop what I love. I just got to look at it differently, you know? And so, yeah, never stop doing, you know, it's like, but if you look, I'm saying that if there's anyone out there that doesn't like their job, do stop it.
Yeah.
Go and find something else. Okay? There is no point whatsoever, monetary wise, anything. That's the other thing. If you're doing a job for money, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, it might sound privileged to say that, but it's, you know, it's that thing. It's like when you truly, everything will happen for you when you just do what you want to do. You know, when you're comfortable in life, where you know you're cooking and you're cooking nice food, you're cooking nice food, you're cooking with good people, you've got good people around you. All those things happen. It's, you know, do unto others as you do to yourself. It's a huge thing. You know, as you want done to yourself, you know. And it does. It just goes through life and it just keeps going. And so, yeah, that's when you get to step back and go, now I know what to do with a coriander seed. I've remembered. See, I did. I came back. The train came back.
And you know what? I think I'm gonna end this there. You know what I mean? I think we've been because I don't know, we met this morning, you know what I mean? And there's so much more we could discuss, but I'm gonna have to have you come back on and we'll do
part two.
We'll do a part two because, again, like I say, yeah, that's such a philosophical way to end what you've done with your career so far. And it just dawned on me when you were talking like that, like the amount of sort of philosophy and enthusiasm you have into it, I think is perfect for tasty humans. So, is there, as I ask of everybody, is there anything else you'd like to say, or because I know you've got a lot coming up, and we'll definitely do this again, you know, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, look, no, I'd be honoured to come back and talk about the rest of it.
Yeah,
There's a lot more.
yeah,
And I can, you know,
because this got
I think this
hours.
is the first meeting, so, you know, you need to get to know me first.
Yeah,
And I think that's the best way of doing it, because there's other things, you know. I mean, there's things like my job that I do now, you know.
Yeah.
It's the happiest job I've been in for a long time.
yeah,
With really great people. But I think that's another conversation.
yeah. I think so too.
But it's been very enjoyable.
I've loved it. Thank you so much for coming on, you know, and we'll do this again for sure.